Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today, I want to read Jonah out of the Bible. It's only a couple pages, and I was like, you know what? Why not read Jonah? It just popped into my head, and I think it would be a cool story, and we could talk about it, and just see where God takes this video. So, if you would like, you can just, set your phone aside. You don't even have to be actively watching. You could just listen. That's the awesome thing about these videos where I'm just simply reading, but it's all up to you. You guys do what you want to do. But yeah, let's get right to it. Jonah is the name of the book. Wow, what a surprise. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, "Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me." But Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. Dude just ran away from God at 5 sentences in, and he's already running. Isn't that crazy? Okay, let's continue on. But the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken up, basically like a huge storm. So then the mariners, I'm assuming those are the guys on the ship. I never heard that word in my life. All right. Then the mariners were afraid, and every man cried out to his God, and threw the cargo that was in the ship into the sea to lighten the load. But Jonah had gone down into the lowest parts of the ship, had lain down, and was fast asleep. Interesting how they say that they cried out to their God. Not God, but to their God. Also, Jonah sleeping in the ship reminds me of when Jesus was sleeping in the ship. I don't know. So the captain came to him and said to him, "What do you mean, sleeper? Arise, call on your God. Perhaps your God will consider us so that we may not perish." And they said to one another, "Come, let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this trouble has come upon us." So back in the day, I don't know if anyone does it still, but I don't know what it exactly is. It's like domino pieces or something. And they would just ask a question and then throw it. And they would be like, okay, whatever this says, that's what God says. You know what I'm saying? So don't really know much about casting lots, but that's what that is. So basically, they were trying to figure out why the storm was happening and who was the cause of it. So that's why they casted lots. So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. Oh. Then they said to him, "Please tell us, for whose cause is this trouble upon us? What is your occupation? What do you do? Okay. And where do you come from? What is your country? And of what people are you?" They were asking all the questions. So he said to them, "I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." Okay, that's my God. Not your God, my God. Then the men were exceedingly afraid. Ooh, okay, interesting. And said to him, "Why have you done this?" For the men knew that he fled from the presence of the Lord because he had told them. Then they said to him, "What shall we do to you that the sea may be calm for us?" For the sea was growing more tempestuous. That's the right word. Or right way to say that, I should say. And he said to them, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the sea will become calm for you. For I know that this great tempest is because of me." Isn't that crazy? Throw me into the sea, basically saying kill me, basically. What? Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to return to land, but they could not, for the sea continued to grow more tempestuous against them. Therefore they cried out to the Lord and said, "We pray, O Lord, please do not let us perish for this man's life, and do not charge us with innocent blood, for you, O Lord, have done as it pleased you." So they picked up Jonah. Hold on a second. Please do not let us perish for this man's life and do not charge us with innocent blood. Oh, so they're saying like if we are to kill Jonah, like don't hold it against us, basically. Ooh, that's crazy. Yeah, for you, O Lord, have done as it pleased you. So they picked up Jonah and threw him into the sea, and the sea ceased from its raging. Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly and offered a sacrifice to the Lord and took vows. First of all, they're doing a whole sacrifice on the boat? Oh my gosh, isn't that crazy? I see certain things are clicking in my mind because like I haven't read this in a long time, and like I remember watching the VeggieTales version of Jonah, and like, man, because of that, just because of that, they're now fearing God. They're like, oh, you are God. You are the God, the one and only. Okay, let's move on. So, threw Jonah into the sea. Now what happens? Now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah. Some say it was like a whale, you know what I'm saying? So that's very possible. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. I want to pause here. For those of you who might not have ever heard the story of Jonah, what do you think? 3 days and 3 nights? I know with whales or whatnot, from what I know, it's like there's not always water inside the whale's mouth or the belly, whatever the case is. But in the belly of, oh my, just imagine, like there's no light in there. You're in the sea in a fish. That is just mind-boggling. I'm pretty sure I heard a story recently about that actually happening to a guy and he survived. So, I mean, it's crazy, huh? So he was in there 3 days and 3 nights. Then Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from the fish's belly, and he said, I cried out to the Lord because of my affliction, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried. Sheol is basically like hell. So he was basically, his life here was hell. You know what I'm saying? And you heard my voice, for you cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, and the floods surrounded me, and your billows and your waves passed over me. Then I said, I have been cast out of your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The waters surrounded me, even to my soul. And this is deep. The deep closed around me. Weeds were wrapped around my head. Wow. I went down to the moorings of the mountains. The earth with its bars closed behind me forever. Yet you have brought up my life from the pit, O Lord my God. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer went up to you, into your holy temple. Those who regard worthless idols forsake their own mercy. But I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay what I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. So the Lord spoke to the fish. Wow. Okay, hold on a second. He did all that. He cried out to God. He really did some poetic stuff right there, okay? Yeah, hi. How are you? I'm reading right now. Did you want to join? Okay. Yeah, all right, let's continue. Okay. So of course she comes at this moment, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's over here doing some poetry, he's over here praying, doing whatever it takes, okay? He's really, the fact that he's in this fish and he's coming up with this, I am shook. Like, if I don't know what I would be doing if I would be praying, that's for sure. Okay, let's continue. So after all that, it says, so the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. Not only did he come out of the fish, but onto dry land. Wow. Like, how nice. You know what I'm saying? How nice. God is very detail-oriented, huh? All right, let's continue on. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and preach to it the message that I tell you." So Jonah arose and went to Nineveh, according to the word of the Lord. Now Nineveh was an exceedingly great city, a 3-day journey in extent. And Jonah began to enter the city on the first day's walk. Then he cried out and said, "Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown." So the people of Nineveh believed God, proclaimed a fast, and put on sackcloth, from the greatest to the least of them. Then word came to the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne and laid aside his robe, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. And he caused it to be proclaimed and published throughout Nineveh by the decree of the king and his nobles, saying, "Let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock taste anything. Do not let them eat or drink water, but let man and beast be covered with sackcloth and cry mightily to God. Yes, let everyone turn from his evil way and from the violence that is in his hands. Who can tell if God will turn and relent and turn away from his fierce anger so that we may not perish?" And then God saw their works, that they turned from their evil way, and God relented from the disaster that he had said he would bring upon them, and he did not do it. So something I guess I want to mention too real quick is that Nineveh was actually a very evil place, and Jonah was afraid to go there because of that reason. So that's kind of why he ran away. And sometimes when God tells you to do things, if not every time God tells you to do something, you're going to be afraid. And if you run away, you might find yourself in the belly of a fish, metaphorically. If it happens physically, I just want to know what you're doing in the middle of the ocean. But that's none of my business. But yeah, so I think that's a very interesting metaphor, or not necessarily metaphor. It is a metaphor in our lives, unless you are Jonah or in that situation. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. So let's continue on, because maybe some of you are wondering, why didn't he just go to Nineveh in the first place, All right, let's continue. We just passed the part where God is saying, he saw what they did and they turned from their evil way, and God relented from the disaster that he had said he would bring upon them, and he did not do it. So God decided, I'm not going to bring disaster upon you. So let's continue. But it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he became angry because he wanted that to happen to them. So he prayed to the Lord and said, Lord, was not this what I said when I was still in my country? Therefore I fled previously to Tarshish, for I know that you are a gracious and merciful God, slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, one who relents from doing harm. Therefore now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. Wow. So this is the second time I'm seeing him basically wanting to give up his life over here. First wanting to jump off of the boat, and, assuming that he was going to die for doing that. And now this. Then the Lord said, "Is it right for you to be angry?" So Jonah went out of the city and sat on the east side of the city. There he made himself a shelter and sat under it in the shade, till he might see what would come of the city. So he's sitting there watching the city, waiting, seeing what's going to happen. And the Lord God prepared a plant and made it come up over Jonah, that it might be shade for his head, to deliver him from his misery. How nice. What? So he's just sitting in the hot desert, of course. And God is like, I didn't tell you to, what I'm saying? But I'm just going to make a shade for you. Imagine just sitting there, God told you he's not going to do anything. You're like, fine. Having a temper tantrum and just sitting in the desert. And then God is like, I gave you free will, so I might as well just help you out here with this plant to give you some shade. Okay, let's continue on. So Jonah was very grateful for the plant. Okay, awesome. But as morning dawned the next day, God prepared a worm, and it so damaged the plant that it withered. Interesting. And it happened when the sun arose that God prepared a vehement east wind. I don't know that word, so you guys can look that up on your own. I'm assuming it's a strong wind. And the sun beat on Jonah's head so that he grew faint. Then he wished death for himself and said, "It is better for me to die than to live." So sadly, that's the third time. Wow. That's interesting. Three. Three is the number. 3 days in the belly of the fish too. Then God said to Jonah, "Is it right for you to be angry about the plant?" And he said, "It is right for me to be angry, even to death." But the Lord said, "You have had pity on the plant for which you have not labored nor made it grow, which came up in a night and perished in a night. And should I not pity Nineveh, that great city, in which are more than 120,000 persons who cannot discern between their right hand and their left, and much livestock?" Oh my gosh, and that's it. Wow, God really told him, like, how are you going to be upset? This isn't even your city, and I'm the one who brought it up. Also the fact that he's saying these people can't discern between their right hand and their left, and much like, what? So basically, you can't, almost kind of like you can't even be mad at them because they don't even know like what they're doing. Like they don't even know. And it reminds me of when Jesus was on the cross and he was like, forgive them, God, for they don't know what they're doing. Wow. So this was kind of deep. Like, it's only a couple pages. I haven't read it for a while. So there's some things that I got out of this, some things I completely forgot about, or, you know, never remembered to begin with. I don't know. But what do you guys think about Jonah? Go ahead and comment down below what you think. Anything that you noticed or anything that came to mind as we're reading this. I feel like I pretty much said what I had to say about Jonah. It seems like he was a very much so, like, how do I say it? Like, he's a go big or go home. What is the word that I'm thinking of? I feel like Jonah was very much, yeah, like go big or go home type of person, like literally kill me type of thing. He's like, well, just kill me then. I'm just thinking to myself, what are you talking about? Why? But you know what? Everyone, you know, I'm sure there's so many details about Jonah's story and about Jonah that we don't get. So it's crazy how we only get this little piece. Like, literally, imagine I want to know more about Jonah, you know what I'm saying? But just the simple fact that that's what happened to him is crazy. It's so crazy how, you know, certain books of the Bible, we have certain people in there who they're in there for longer periods of time. Like their stories are longer, whatever the case is, and they have multiple things that happen to them. And then we have stories like this where it's only a couple pages, but it's like wild, like a wild story. So God is like, we're just gonna compile this into these couple pages here. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Feel free to comment down below anything that you want to share about it. You can comment down your prayer requests or anything like that. Go ahead and like and share this video if you think someone else might enjoy it. Maybe they have some thoughts about Jonah too. And yeah, subscribe if you want more. I hope you guys have an amazing day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.